Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. There is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets. I am so happy to be rejoining you all on this lovely Monday, guys. For those who do not know, it's been a while since I've been on the show, so maybe some of you do not, but I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Chef Jackus and Louis Monday today. But for Market Check, had a lovely honeymoon, a lovely wedding. I am so happy to be back with you all, talking charts, talking markets. And obviously we've had quite a bit happen ever since I kind of left, but I'm very thrilled, to be breaking down these charts with you all. I'll probably be a little bit rusty as far as my hosting capabilities go, but we are going to give it our best throughout today. And before we can start cooking and before we can start sharing our alpha, because even though I was abroad, guys, I'll tell you what, you can't pull me away from the charts forever. Of course, I was doing a little bit of watching. Even still, if we could still hit that like button for us, asking to you guys today, and I'm sure we'll bug you again. Hopefully we don't have to. Hopefully I don't have to, but I'm going to assume that you guys have done a great job of smashing the like button while I was gone. And like I said, I'm thrilled to be back. Let's go ahead and dive into markets, right? Right? Bitcoin, so much has happened since I was last year, especially in Bitcoin and beta markets, like beta altcoins. I'm sure that's going to be a big theme of the stream this week over the next few days, especially on this show as well. So many altcoin charts just look absolutely fantastic, and it's in the usual sectors. I'm sure Dr. Outlook has been talking about his SUI bags on these market checks, but also meme coins as well. Look fantastic. It is the usual suspects ripping whenever Bitcoin has, shown that strength. And over the last 2 or 3 weeks, really into the end of September, Bitcoin showed a tremendous amount of strength, made its first higher high since basically Q1 of this year, which is, you have to say, contextually significant as long as it's going to continue to hold these levels. Meanwhile, Sol on chain has been popping off and ripping. I don't see any reason why that doesn't remain the case here over the next few weeks, as long as Sol is trading in this very tidy range. Let me make sure I don't get the numbers wrong, but right, like 125 to $200. It's been effectively ranging for 6 months. You've had an on-chain super cycle on Solana specifically. There's been still no shortage of opportunity. And then, of course, over in equity markets, we are once again battling with potential price discovery for things like the S&P, for things like the NASDAQ. Maybe some geopolitical things to keep an eye on here over the next few weeks. But as a whole, I think markets and risk in general look very, very good at this juncture. But like I said, guys, I am thrilled to be back. It's going to take some getting used to, just getting back in my whole hosting mode. But we got a great group of panelists for you today with me, Jackus, and Louis, and we are going to do our best to cook you up the best meal that we possibly can. But with that said, Louis and Jackus, I'd love to know how you are seeing the markets right now coming out of the weekend. Is there anything that in particular jumps out? And of course, like I said, I definitely want to be looking at some altcoin charts today, because they to me look just the most risk on of all risk assets at the moment. People are very much bidding beta, even more than you really haven't even had these big moves on majors yet. Like, they're still trading within their range, but beta seems to be front running the positive liquidity catalysts that we know are coming in Q4.
I gotta be honest, I just missed the Tommy's intros. Those
so
just hit
better.
Different.
Oh yeah.
He's just a master in those. He's like ramping up for 5 minutes straight. Like, he doesn't miss a word. There is no like blah, 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 it's just straight up. Love it.
Definitely could have been a radio station commentator in another life, or you still can maybe down the line. Once you're retired, I'll ship once.
Yeah, never say
Crypto
never.
radio station. Crypto BB radio station. You
There you
got it
go.
there.
Yeah.
Max, you listening?
You listening? You want to
Yeah.
go first, Jackus?
No, I'll let you guys cook. I mean, market is looking good, and I just think that whether we get this, last local drop or not, bears are about to lose everything. So
Yeah.
let them have their final days. It's like when the Trojan or like, I'm not sure how it's that pronunciation
Trojan
in
horse.
English, but Trojan people, when they invited the horse inside of the city, they were also very loud. They were celebrating. They didn't know what they've done until it was too late. So let the Bears celebrate. Even if we get that last drop, you'll see 40K calls everywhere. But yeah, they don't know what they are doing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's remaining to be seen, right? If we do get this second drop. But as far as price action is looking now, it's looking pretty promising across the board. Friday, I even put out a tweet. I was like, listen, we got a ton of daily bullish and engulfing candles at support, whether it's for Bitcoin, which we got it for, as well as multiple altcoins across the board, just bullish engulfing at support after 3 or 4 days of pulling back. And that was your signal, right? That was your signal to be like, okay, we got our pullback. But we Friday we closed out the week strong. And I said, watch for a powerful or maybe a slight altcoin weekend, right? Saturday not so much, but Sunday, yesterday, I wasn't even in the charts that much. I did a little bit of buying early in the morning because some of my price notifications were going off. I was definitely steadying the lads and deploying some capital. But yeah, we definitely saw some follow through on Sunday from those not bearish, bullish engulfings that we saw on Friday, and now we're seeing even more follow through this morning today in crypto. But yeah, I mean things look great. Bitcoin is holding key levels. We're above that 60.5K level, which is a key level. Our weekly candle close that we got yesterday, we got mostly wick to the downside, and we're still holding above key supply and demand levels, where it looks like on the weekly, the Bitcoin is coiling up for a breakout here sooner than later. But as far as Bitcoin goes, this time period on the weekly, it looks a lot smaller, but this has been, 6 or 7 months of just, consolidation, and, giving people euphoria, and fear multiple times, in a 6-month span, pretty much driving anyone who was crazy enough to stay in crypto for that long, just extreme, emotional swings. But now, we reclaim this key level. This was your bear trap. In my opinion, basically, first week of August came down, closed the weekly strong with a giant, basically doji weekly candle. And even when we got that candle, right, I was like, yes, we could trade back and fill some of this wick. But, if you're looking at Japanese candlestick charting, right, and those principles, as long as you don't, as long as this wick low on a candle like this is respected, the low is likely in. So what did we see? We saw that. We saw an initial pump out of that, got faked out. We came down lower. We filled some of this wick in here. But we never did actually break this wick low. And since then, we've been working our way higher, working on reclaiming this key supply, right? The highs from 2021, key market structure, which we are now trading back above, which is super, super important on a larger time frame context, which is very important. I feel a lot of people miss that context, which is the higher time frame, and looking left to the chart more than a couple hours. And when you do that, you could see that we're trading above and consolidating into, key, demand or support on the chart. And now that we have reclaimed it after, bears trying to push us below it, it looks as if we're coiling up for this breakout. And that's probably coming sooner rather than later, in my opinion. And you can see that these lower highs, they're extremely stacked, and none of these highs have been ran, right? It's very clear on the chart. We don't even need to bring up a heat map. Maybe someone can pull it up on the BB terminal. But there is a ton, billions and billions of dollars worth of liquidity that's stacked. And once we start popping these to the upside, these are going to go off like a chain explosion, right? Like one high after the other. I think it's going to trigger a cascade, but that cascade is going to be a rocket ship to the upside, in my opinion. And that's what we're waiting for. It looks like we're getting closer and closer to, these highs getting run, and that liquidity getting taken out of the market after 6 months of consolidation.
Tommy, I would love to hear from you. You've been away for 14 days. I believe that there's so much on your chest you just want to share with us. How was it like looking? Like, I know it myself, right? I know it how it is when you are away. You are watching the charts, you are seeing stuff, and you kind of like, you are enjoying yourselves, but at the same time, you like want to cook, right? Like, you want to share with people what you're seeing. So I know that feeling. And by the way, tell us also, I suppose, about, if you want to, about your honeymoon. How was it refreshing? Because these vacations, and I know it was a honeymoon, right? But vacations in general, I say, is not only helpful but necessary for a trader, because anyone that's too glued to charts for too long just burns out.
No, that's you're absolutely right about that. I think about when I got back from Spain in May, and then immediately had such a clear view of the market, and caught that ETH candle to the upside. That was still one of my best ever trades. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And to kind of like add to that a little bit, I mean, you guys know how much I love fractals, but unfortunately, TradingView, for whatever reason, decided to rug me and completely deleted everything off of my object tree for every single ticker. So every like drawing I had on TradingView from the dawn of time got erased, which was absolutely tragic, for one, just given my style of trading and viewing the market. But it is giving me a certain level of clarity for how, I can view the markets. And it's like I said at the start of the show. I mean, I think, before I go into my honeymoon too much, really the thing that sticks out to me the most is, you basically have beta and meme coins that front ran a lot of the positive liquidity catalysts in Q4. Obviously, there's still a lot more room for upside, given that majors haven't even broken out yet. But it was pretty astonishing to me to see how quickly those assets moved off the bottom. We knew they could. Right, we talked about how they had high time frame bull divs absolutely flattened, but then Bitcoin moves up 10%. All of a sudden, you have ETH beta and Sol, and like another Sol meme super cycle triggered, but ETH beta effectively moving up like at least 200 or 300%. So there's been a lot of opportunity in altcoins from a very small move in majors, and I have a hard time seeing that changing. Unless you have some pretty significant structural shifts and something like Bitcoin and ETH. I still think that ETH has a little bit of work to do. I'm going to try not to FUD ETH on my first day back, but I think Bitcoin looks fantastic. Bitcoin dominance on a higher time frame looks absolutely phenomenal, right? Like I look at the momentum, RSI just kind of grinding up near that overbought territory, which, I always say the labels for RSI, like overbought, oversold, those are a meme, because, you have your biggest measured moves typically when assets do reach their overbought or oversold territory. So something like Bitcoin dominance, maybe we haven't quite seen the Bitcoin dominance, like giga rip, that we're used to seeing in cycles. And I've always said that's more bullish for crypto. And this is a great example too of, if you pick the right coins, it really doesn't matter too much for you anyway when Bitcoin dominance is going to eventually break down. But you can have Bitcoin dominance chatting higher because Bitcoin USD is just leading the market higher. And of course, that's going to be a bullish catalyst for the usual suspects like meme coins. But the honeymoon was amazing. We went to Rome, Sorrento, Capri, and then back to Rome. I had a lot of food, somehow lost weight, which was pretty which was pretty cool, because I ate carbs and pasta pretty much every day. And yeah, I didn't gain weight, which was amazing. Um, beautiful views, beautiful areas. I don't think I would change a thing about my wedding or my honeymoon. It was really a pretty special last 2 or 3 weeks for me. And yeah, I'm kind of still like speechless, and like my dopamine is coming down. And I'm sure just given the space that we work in with crypto, I'm about to see my dopamine receptors completely resurge or whatever. But yeah, at least like the last, it's always nice too with a vacation, Jackus, and to like, you get so caught up in what's happening behind the charts and the screen, and it can be very much a feedback loop playing into being perennially online and on social media, and you convince yourself that not much matters outside of your screen. But then you have like 2 or 3 really wholesome weeks where you're getting outside, you're spending time with your loved ones, and you're like, wow, this is why I'm doing it. Not just for the charts and because I love it, but also because, we have family that we're working for, and obviously bigger goals that we're looking to attain. But yeah, it was great. Long story short, I'm very happy to be back though. I missed you guys.
We missed you too.
Yes, you were greatly missed, but great to have you back. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I think taking time away from the markets is extremely important. I remember it would just be like every day I would just have to be locked in. You know what I mean? And there's certain points where you kind of have to be, right. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just staying locked in when the time is right. But it's also very important, as you get older and you have other things to take care of, and like I have a child now and stuff like that. But it's very important to take that time and just completely disconnect, right? Because it gives you that mental clarity. When you take a step back, because sometimes you do find yourself in that bubble, especially if you're in a group chat or whatever, or Twitter. You get caught in that infinite feedback loop. Whereas if you just take a step back, take a day or two off, enjoy time with family, friends, whatever, and try. And then that doesn't mean hanging out with them, but you're constantly staring at your phone like at price. Because I've done that too. It's like, oh yeah, I'm doing things, like I'm taking it away, and I'm just staring at my phone the whole time, watching the 1 hour. Like sometimes you need to step away, relax, take a breath, because especially in the bull market, right? Like I feel like I'm way more locked in the bear, because that's where you're looking for your entries. But once the bull market gets going, it's going to get very loud. It's going to get very noisy. There's always going to be something pumping, right? And it's not always going to be your token. And I think a big mistake a lot of people make is they kind of get that FOMO. They're like, oh, like that thing's up 100%. Yeah, but my token's only up like 5 or 10%. Like what's going on? Like, and then like that FOMO keeps eating at you, and you keep looking at that every day. And then sooner or later, you're just going to say, fuck it, and buy that token that's been ripping. And probably by the time you make that decision, the token you were holding that whole time will decide to pump, right? And that token that you FOMO'd into and bought is probably going to start pulling back. So keeping that, giving yourself that time and away from markets does, limit that FOMO, limits those emotions. And it keeps you balanced. So I mean, I'm a big advocate of that. Like Sunday yesterday, I'm a big football guy. I watched football, hung out with my wife. We hung out with the baby, had a good time. Like I said, I woke up early. I looked at the charts briefly, did a little buying. But other than that, I didn't look at anything until really the end of the day. And I just enjoyed myself. Just try to be present. It really does. It does help. I've noticed it definitely helps my mental stress and clarity in this crazy space that we're in, for sure.
So, Tommy, you mentioned that, and I do agree with you on this, that when you come back, you get a mental clarity on the charts, right? Like you see it, you just come to it and you see it. So tell me, now that you've come back, what do you see?
I'll say I don't feel like I see a direction as clearly as I did in May. I mean, I see it for meme coins and beta, some setups across the board that have yet to play out, even though you have assets. I mean, obviously like Andy Wolf and, SPX 6900. That's a chart we've talked about in the past. I unfortunately did not have exposure to the pump though. which makes me a little bit sad, but it's okay because I think there are other meme coins that I do see very clearly that I talk about in our Discord, for example, which we do have linked in the description below, by the way, that I do think still have a lot of potential meat left on the bone in Q4. So I would say that that's probably the clearest thing that I'm seeing. I don't really see equities super clearly right now because they're kind of more or less yeah, I mean, equities are basically in the exact same spot as when I left. So it's hard for me to really gather too much of a conclusion from equities. But I will say, I think there's just like that little bit of risk present here over the next few weeks with what's happening in the Middle East. That's really the only risk that I'm seeing in the market. And if you do have any sort of news that dissipates that, what's likely to happen into the end of the month is you're just going to see beta and risk just completely sent, in my opinion, because at that point you crush the VIX. The interesting thing to me, Jackus, is like, or Louis, because I see you're pulling up the chart, is the VIX futures curve looks very different versus the VIX. I don't know why that is, but I think to me, if that risk is dissipated or mitigated at any point in this month, you're going to see everything probably send into November. And beta and meme coins are going to run the hardest. I've got a few that I think are still on the floor that are pretty liquid and probably going to run really hard, not just because they're meme coins, but they've got some decent fundamental catalysts as well, which is kind of ironic to say that. There are not many meme coins that you can say fundamental catalysts about, but I do think there are a few that could run especially hard. And I have to say that's going to be where the bid is just going to continue to gravitate towards. It's going to be these meme coins because something that we've kind of talked about in the past is how different this cycle is to the previous one, largely because of supply. You have so many coins with inflationary supplies now that get harder and harder to pump over time, but meme coins do not have that. And for that reason, I like them better as, like storages of value over a lot of other coins. So that's kind of my focus right now is playing these meme coins, and then also just kind of being cognizant and aware of the risks that I think equity volatility still poses in the market. But it's like I said, if it does dissipate, then like I really don't see any bearish argument left at that point.
There is a there is a term called fundamental meme coins. Which are fundamental meme coins too.
Are you talking about just VC coins in general?
No. I actually meant like strong meme coins that are not just like launched, that are not just like, I'm gonna launch a coin, give it some random name and call it a meme coin, right? Like meme coins that actually do have the fundamental sort of meme behind it, right? That like have the narrative, have the community.
That's how I feel with, like, it's kind of ironic to say it, but like with Pepe, this is something, it's funny. I was thinking about meme coins on my honeymoon a little bit. Everybody wants to talk about meme coins, super cycles. One of the things that I was thinking about was why I know everybody says like, okay, there will be with Popcat and Pepe, and they'll be like the Solunavax, right, of this cycle. I disagree with that. I'm not going to outright reject the opinion entirely, but I think when you think of how retail processes how they're going to bid meme coins, at least as far as like majors, right? And I'm lower cap meme coins, you can completely separate those from this conversation. But what's going to lead the market? I think it's not going to be 3 meme coins that all dominate market share. I think it's going to be one that probably catches a bid way bigger than anybody can imagine. And like for the reason that you just said, Jack, is like fundamentally what has the most entrenched virality and loyal I don't even like user base, I guess, of a meme coin, but Pepe, right? So I think the alpha is not going to be, okay, I'm going to get long Pepe, Whiff, and Popcat, and they'll all, rip a 50 to 100x. I think the alpha is actually going to be picking the winner and then being long the beta of that coin. And I can think about a few coins that kind of fit that that fit that description.
Yeah, and maybe this is to both of you. Maybe Louis can begin with it, but we are seeing the shift towards like full digit meme coin. Like it seems that at this point everyone is ditching everything else except memes. I see people just being completely, memes only. So do you guys like see a broader shift in this market where basically like the fundamentals will remain in stocks and everyone just agreed that crypto has no value and everyone will just keep bidding meme coins because it's just a large casino for millennials and Gen Z? Or do you see a shift in that in the future, or what are your takes, both of you?
Louis, you want to go first?
Yeah, yeah, I think people are definitely gonna continue to use meme coins as a way of, kind of like that casino uh, kind of analogy you use, Jackus. And it kind of is somewhat it is, right? It's a way to speculate on an asset class, which is crypto, which has historically provided, exponential gains for people, right? So that attracts people to it. Like the same way sports betting does. Like, in America, I don't know if it's legal in Europe, Jackus, but like in America, like sports betting has become legal over the last couple years. Each state is taking turns trying to legalize it because there's so much money to be made. Because people feel as if that the only way, other than working a job, the only way where they could actually like make substantial money and kind of escape the rat race is trying to hit one big bet, right, or something like that. And it also just makes watching sports more fun. And you see that in, sports betting in the US, where like these kids, once you're 18, you're able to sports bet. And these kids are just, now you could bet right from your phone. You don't even have to go to a sports book or a casino. You could just do it right from your phone. So the culture around betting and gambling is definitely there. And people are working and just putting their whole paychecks into it, trying to make that little extra money. So I think it's definitely going to continue to trend in that way. Not to say that there's other tokens that won't do well, right? Like there are other VC tokens and other utility tokens that will also perform well, but maybe they're a different type of investors will be attracted to those. But I mean, I feel like there's different subsets of the investing community where like you have Gen Z and even some younger millennials who are open to investing in these meme coins and taking joining this movement. But there are also other people that are like, maybe older guys that come from the stock market, but are looking for risk and looking to get involved in crypto. But maybe they want stuff that like, give me a project that actually does something and has a real life use case other than a meme coin, right? So I think there's room for both. And I think in a bull run, which I think are right around the corner from for altcoins, all will do well, right? And I think they'll actually all take turns running. So you'll see, some tokens from, I guess your VC or utility side will start to outperform, and then you'll see memes outperform as well. But all these things take turn running. But one thing I did want to touch on was that fundamental meme, right? Like, it's like a kind of like a joke. Like, what's like these fundamental memes? And I mean, I don't think there's a fundamental, reason for memes. What I would argue is I think there's a fundamental basis of how these memes are launched, right? So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, who's launching these tokens? How are these tokens distributed before launch? Is there a pre-sale? Is there a cabal behind it? Is there a was it sniped by bots, by like this group of millionaires that are trying to get it on early, and they have these bots and they can just buy up the supply, and they end up getting 25% of the supply on the launch? Like, is stuff like that happening? Because if so, the project is likely going to fail because the second those projects pump and let's say the team or the team sold about 10% of supply to some KOL to boost and get FOMO for the project built up. And the second, that project starts to pump, those tokens are going to get unlocked and unloaded on the retail investors. And that's a bad fundamental base for a token to be launched, right? And that's what we've seen a lot. And that's what kind of also looks as if, turned a lot of people away from memes for a while, was because people were just tired of getting dumped on. Like anytime you found a project that started to move up, it seemed as if a couple of days later it was already bleeding back to zero. Whereas a good fundamental project, would have something where when the tokens launch, like the team doesn't have a large allocation, right? Or they blacklisted snipers so they couldn't get sniped off of launch, and these large groups couldn't get large chunks of supply early on the launch, where so they could dump on people as the price starts moving. So if you have a project that does all that, I think those are a great recipe and a strong fundamental launch for a project, which is a good recipe for success for the long term, at least for this bull run, right? So as far as fundamental goes, I think it's how the project is launched and what team is launching that specific project does give some fundamental differences between one meme to another, basically.
I like that explanation. And by the way, lately you've hit a really good run with based Pepe. Maybe you want to share some alpha on how you spotted that and what made you get in. Maybe not, I don't know. But
yeah, no, that's fine. We've talked about it before. Now it's kind of grown up to the point where I feel comfortable talking about it. But that's exactly what I'm talking about, like what I was just mentioning with that fair launch. Like when someone had mentioned this one to me, right, and like I was like towards the end, and like it was literally probably the bottom for all coins, and basically everyone was kind of over buying these meme coins all the time. One of my buddies I have, my buddy Tony, was like, hey, like this is launching. The team is not taking any token supply. They're blacklisting all the snipers. And basically it seems as if this is a fair launched meme coin. And I was like, wow, like that's basically what you want, right? Because meme coins are kind of like, they came about because a lot of people in crypto, I feel, were tired of these VCs or these VC investors getting a ton of the supply, creating FOMO of the project. Retail investors come in, and then all these unlocks start happening, and then the retail crypto investors just get dumped on. We saw it last cycle, we saw at the beginning of this cycle, and I think the crypto investors were starting to smarten up and say, like, we're done with these VC investors coming in and just dumping on our heads. So that's why meme coins came about, in my opinion, or at least maybe that's not where they came about, but the narrative shifted to that, right? So when I saw, well, here's a meme coin that has the fundamental reasons behind why meme coins actually are a thing, and it gives us retail investors or us crypto native investors who actually care about the space, something to get in at the ground floor early and often without having that fear of a giant team or a cabal dumping once the project gets going. That was extremely attractive to me. I was lucky enough to happen to get in on the earlier side after it was launched. But you're seeing that the market has an appetite for this, because I mean, just looking at this chart, I mean, we've had pullbacks and consolidations, but regardless, this has outperformed almost everything over the last couple months, and that's because it was a fair launch token, right? I feel like something like this that wasn't fair launched, it had a team sitting there waiting to dump on everybody. Something like this probably would already be back to square one, right? It would have, you always see that those straight lines up, they'll pump. I mean, I'm not saying they won't pump, but the pump won't last long, and then they start coming down, and it's just like that slow bleed all the way back down. It kind of has those cycles, right? So something like this, where it was fair launched, I could sleep good at night knowing that I'm not going to turn around and the team's just going to dump on me, and I'm just going to be left holding the bag. That was a big thing for me. So that's why I got in early. And then once I found out more about the project and the fundamentals of how it was launched, I even doubled down early on in my investment, and it paid off. And you could see for sure that the market has an appetite for these fair launch tokens, because this has been outperforming a lot. So yeah, I mean, happy to have it. And yeah, I mean, it looks great here along with the rest of the market here. But yeah.
I like that explanation. I love that enthusiasm, Louis.
On a Monday, baby.
On a Monday. Everyone's fresh on a Monday, and then Friday comes and everyone's like, bro, give me the weekend. And then there is Sunday, and everyone is like, oh, I cannot wait to get back into the market. Like Max was basically saying that this morning, right? Like on Friday he's looking for the weekend, but by the time it's Sunday he's like, bro, I want to get back into the chart.
Well, I always, I mean, even for me, like just being away, I think it was probably about 3/4 or 80% of the way there. I was just yearning to do some work. And there was a point where we had walked like I want to say like 12,000 steps or something crazy like that, and within 2 hours, because we couldn't find a spot to, or we kind of could have planned better. But long story short, we walked like 12,000 steps in 2.5 hours, which is a lot. And we'd walked like 24,000 steps the day before. So I was pretty exhausted. And instead of going back to nap, I'm on TradingView, just like yearning. I'm yearning for it. It's like a drug, man. But to answer the question you raised like 5 minutes ago, Jack, as far as meme coins, and like you said, we are kind of devolving into total degeneracy as a space, which, you know, I think you know, there are a few different ways to look at it. For one, I don't think that the meme coin bit is going anywhere. At least like this rally off the lows should make that abundantly clear. If you're still fading meme coins as really the theme of the cycle, you probably fundamentally misunderstand why they're running, right? Which is, I really think that this is the start of crypto's true realization of what its utility is going to be. And I think when most people hear utility, they think, oh, well, this coin that the VC raised says that it does this, or says it like tokenizes all these assets, decentralized, like Dentacoin decentralizes, you know, dentistry or whatever, all this other garbage that, let's be honest, like we don't need to have it on a blockchain. We don't. What we need crypto for, and I tweeted a little bit about this while I was gone, but this is what I really do believe that crypto's long-term fundamental value proposition is. It's a non-sovereign storage of value, right? Like that's the whole reason why Bitcoin has drastically outperformed ETH since the bear market lows, in my opinion. Not just because people were underallocated to Bitcoin relative to ETH, but because it's digital gold. That is the narrative. A very scarce supply. People feel like they can preserve their wealth in Bitcoin over time, at least better than any other cryptocurrency. And increasingly that volatility on Bitcoin will probably die out. But that's the Bitcoin value proposition that people like, and that's how BlackRock is posturing it to its clients as well, right? They're only going to print more money. Bitcoin has a scarce supply, but meme coins are not that different in the sense that they are also a non-sovereign storage of value for all of the reasons that Louis just said as well, that makes them attractive to investors. You know, most notably, they're a vehicle for speculation, where if you want to grow your wealth, you're probably more likely to trade meme coins. And that's why meme coins have kind of taken over the entirety of the altcoin asset classes, because there are fundamental coins, right? Quote unquote fundamentals, but I think those fundamentals are probably building in the wrong space, right? Because crypto's value proposition is always going to be the ability to access your money outside of the system. Bitcoin, I mean, really started that for, I mean, I could go on a total soapbox rant about why Bitcoin meets that MO. And I think people are still warming up to the idea that that's exactly what meme coins are doing right now and what they're going to continue to do. They just serve a fundamentally different purpose for why people choose to bid them instead of Bitcoin. But they're basically, you know, they're basically the continuation of that idea, that non-sovereign store of value. I'm going to continue to beat that point to death. Like that is what crypto is. The primary use case is probably going to be. You can argue why that is, right? Is it currency debasement? Is it liquidity, which contributes a lot to currency debasement? Is it something like UBI in a few years down the road where people have the ability to speculate? I think all of these reasons are more than likely going to benefit crypto storage of values more so than any other asset class going forward. I mean, gold will probably benefit as well. I mean, Jack, you're in line with the decade of commodities. I think that this idea that crypto is non-sovereign storage of value as the primary utility goes perfectly in line with that.
Yeah, there are actually many things I want to touch upon. First, before I forget it, Tommy, you keep this question, you just ask me, right? And there is one thing I wanted to touch upon what Louis was talking about, and that's the sports betting in the US. So I actually didn't know that you guys just started with it, because sports betting been going on forever in Europe. And I was betting myself, 20 years ago when I was a little kid. Basically, I was already able to bet, on everything on the sports side. So that's been going on a lot. But and I do agree that people love to bet, especially nowadays when everything's become so unaffordable and people are just basically looking to to hit it. But I think that what's going on with the meme coins is more even so as a replacement of the betting sites for sports. I mean, betting on sports will never go away, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that it will rather even move to stuff like Polymarket, where you are not betting against the casino, because everyone who's been betting on sports, through one of these sites is essentially in a losing position since the beginning. It's like buying that VC scam coin, and the VCs and the team and the wells are dumping on you. That's the same if you go bet on sports in general, because and I do not know how it's called in English, but like the courses, or like the ratio you get, like 1.15 on this, the favorites winning or so. So they are not in favor of you. Versus if you go bet on a Polymarket, right, you are betting against other degens like you, and it's a fair market value. And I think that has a future, big future, because people simply love to watch sports and they love to bet on them. It's completely different fun when you are just watching a game versus when you bet on it and then you are watching it. You can basically just, watch even a football match you don't really care about, like the teams you don't care about, but if you bet on it, it's the entire different fun. So I'm very bullish on that. And when it comes to betting on riches, right, or like betting in general, as you said, right, like people will have UB, and they will simply want to bet and try to make it. So I think people are not as dumb as people think that people are. They will look at this and they will say like, hey, why should I try to place a bet here where I can win something or lose everything, where I can maybe just like ape this meme coin, right? Or I can ape a few. And yeah, probably some of them will rock, some of them will not do much, but some of that will hit big. And there is no expiration on that bet. That's the most important thing. There is no expiration, time expiration. And in that regard, betting on meme coins is just better risk to reward than betting on any sports match, basically. So I think I'm very bullish on that gambling side of things. And that's what I wanted to touch upon, both of your takes when it comes to sports betting and meme coins and all of that. And then, Tommy, I think the question was like, what do I think of the utility of crypto, right? So I actually, like, that's the thing, right? We have few right now, but what people forget is that new ones are being created in time. So like at first we also didn't know what internet is going to be used for and what everything will be possible on it. And let's not forget that lots of people speculated on like basically like the stuff you mentioned, right? Like, hey, we're gonna tokenize this dentist and we will have this dentist coin and all of that, right? That's what people were saying a few years ago. And then it kind of faded away right now, but it doesn't mean that something like this will not pop away in the future. Because if you're going to look at internet, there's also lots of stuff that that was like this, right? Like people were saying like, you will have this site and you will be able to buy this, that, and this, and this, and that. And it kind of made sense. But after the dot-com bubble, lots of it died. And it wasn't really until 2010 when internet really became a thing where everyone is nowadays. Like it was gradually getting there, but it wasn't, right? It wasn't in a shape where it is today. So I think when it comes to crypto, I think there is going to be lots of solutions which we may not be seeing yet, or we do not know how like the market will embrace it. But I think lots of new stuff will be popping as we go. And where are we right now? I think really like the only solutions that crypto gave so far, and I think they are very important, is what you said, right? Like digital store of value, which is Bitcoin, accessible for anyone in the entire world. Like it's always going to be there. It's something that's definitely needed. Bitcoin solved it. Everybody knows this. That's definitely one thing. Second is definitely stablecoins. Stablecoins are something that is solving the cross-border payment. It's banking the unbanked, right? Like where lots of nations around the world and lots of people from the Western countries are not able to see it much because the banks are working there. But in lots of third world countries, banks are not working. The exchange rates are corrupted to a big degree and so forth. So lots of people get access to dollars where otherwise they wouldn't. And they are able to, even like people from US, if they want to send money to someone in countries like Argentina or so, it's just working for them, right? They do not have to pay big exchange rates or something like that. So that's definitely solving another. Everyone, even Visa, PayPal came with its own stablecoin. Visa is trying to get its like a dive, or not sure how to say it, but like dive into the stablecoins industry as well and make the solutions there. So I think people shouldn't be fading that at all. But obviously there are questions how to profit on it. And I think lots of coins, I mean, in the past, right? Like Luna was definitely the first one trying to trying to capitalize on this trend. But I think it's only going to grow bigger. And obviously, we will get some like solutions that are not working, some that will. But it's definitely a trend or solution that crypto is offering, right, alongside the digital storage. And I think the third one, as of right now, is the gambling side on memes. So I think right now it's really 3 solutions that crypto gave. But I wouldn't just say like, because we are not seeing something right now that something is not going to pop up in maybe even the near future. So we'll see.
No, it's like liquidity only has a few places to go in crypto. It's the explicit store of value, like a Bitcoin, like a gold, or a temporary storage of value with a moonshot bet, which are meme coins. And then you have a handful of fundamental coins, and I say that maybe. And it was similar right after the tech bubble popped in the early 2000s. You had the echo bubble in crypto, but there were still burgeonings of the new tech that actually stuck around in the wake of the tech bubble. And I would point to something, probably something in the AI space as being one of those assets. But as a whole, I think you're going to have a pretty difficult time picking those winners, because picking the winners after the tech bubble was also very difficult. Remember that Amazon was just an online book company for a very long time. So I do think the only guarantee in this space is probably Bitcoin. And in the short term, the best speculative vehicles are going to be meme coins.
Yeah. By the way, there was a question which I by accident read from crypto and Jackies, but don't you think the bookie lobby will not just simply lay down and die? I can see fat regulations being raised against the non-traditional betting platforms. And I totally agree. There is always like these fights, right? Like the telephone industry try to battle the internet and so forth. It's always been like that. Or like back in the, horse versus cars days, there were lots of people who had horse farms and they were like saying, no, don't use cars, they are too expensive, blah blah blah, right? So it's always like that, but usually the way it goes is you simply cannot stop the technology, you cannot stop the advancement. And usually how it goes is that the old lobbies usually buy the new ones. They buy the share in it. And usually how it goes is that, yes, they will do some, lobbying against that. They will try to slow it down. And while they are slowing it down, they are getting an exposure. So like, I don't know if you guys watched a few movies about, for example, how the tobacco industry went. But if you guys remember, right, especially in the US in like 70s, everyone was smoking cigarettes, and then it slowly started to die off. And what happened, right? Lots of these tobacco firms, they instead bought lots of food firms with lots of sugar, right? And they basically transitioned into another addictive products, basically. So they just reshaped, they kept their share, and they moved on, basically. And that's how I think it's going to go, right? Like lots of these firms might try to slow it down. And I think, by the way, this is what's going on with Bitcoin right now. They like the Wall Street realize that, hey, this is the next big thing. It's not just random bubble. So what are we going to do, right? We cannot stop it anymore. We will rather join it and take a control of it. And that's what's going on. They've been trying to slow it down. They are effectively slowing it down. But what they are doing, they are just increasing their exposure every single week after week, right? So this is what I think is going to happen with lots of these disrupting industries, basically, or how it usually goes.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know what happens after these. I mean, realistically, we probably see meme coins pull off the most ridiculous moves that they will over the next few years. What does crypto look like after that's done, right? Is it going to be fundamentals rising back to the surface, or is it just always going to perennially be a place where you can come to gamble? I know GCR long foretold, but I'm just thinking about what you said, Jackus, about how they're probably buying up assets for the future. And other than Bitcoin, I know you'll probably say Ethereum and maybe Solana as well. But for me right now, the only asset I would feel the most comfortable buying over the long term would be Bitcoin, which
I mean,
would
I've always said that. I've
Yeah.
always said that Bitcoin is like the only thing I would be comfortable holding for the next, 10 years at minimum, or longer, of course. But there is not that like I can gamble on stuff, or like gamble, make calculated bets, to put it better way. But I wouldn't be comfortable buying that, closing my eyes, and holding it for 10 years. And I mean, quite obviously, because these things have not even been in existence for 10 years. So saying that I want to hold them for longer than 10 years is basically holding them longer than they've existed, which doesn't make sense.
It's an interesting discussion and conversation to have, where you're talking about legitimately, like if you were to just create a portfolio right now that you could pass on, not to your children, but to your grandchildren, and you knew that it would outperform the market over, maybe 50 to 100 years. That's a very difficult question to answer. I remember reading some research about that from, I got to send it to you, Jackus. It's from this fund called like Artemis Capital, but they have amazing research on like holding a portfolio over the course of a century and how difficult that is. Bitcoin would have to be one of the assets that I would be holding.
Yeah, definitely, that's the only one. But thinking of that, right, like what are really the assets that you can hold over a long time? And like there is probably none. Like the only thing you can really hold is gold and silver. Bitcoin nowadays, maybe, right? Like we think so, but we actually do not know. And probably equities, and that's about it. Like you cannot hold anything else, because you cannot even hold bonds that long, because you do not know if the currency or the nation will still be here like that long, right? If it's not going to collapse, change its currency, whatever. So there are really not that many assets you can hold 100 years or so long. Not even stocks, because if you think about it, right, there were lots of stocks 100 years ago or 200 years ago where people bought railroads stocks, and that was the hot thing back then, right? Train stocks, right? Train stocks were the hot topic, about 200 years ago in the US. Most of them are, if not all, basically dead. But the only thing that survived are the indexes, because all of these companies, they come and go. That they provide solution that the world needs for some time
Did we lose that?
until
Wait,
the
sorry,
world's
cut out there. My bad.
yeah, you gotta until the world until the world solves that issue, and then there is a new thing that the world needs to put the capital on. So even when it comes to stock, like I wouldn't feel comfortable telling you that I will hold the Apple stock for the next 100 years. I wouldn't. I would feel scared because it's likely that Apple. Guys, listen. It's likely Apple is not going to be here in the next 100 years. As crazy as that may sound right now, think of Nokia, right? Think of lots of these companies that were the hot thing. Where are they today? They are either gone or halfway gone or just unimportant at all. So that's a good thing about indexes, right? Like if you want to hold something, like the only thing I would probably bet on from the stock side is really just the equity, because equities like SPX, because it's basically US economy. And I'm bullish on that. I'm bullish on corporates, still being here forever, because we will still need to produce something, and we want to exchange stuff, right? So, and the thing is that whenever a company becomes irrelevant, it just drops out from the equity, and the new ones, the emerging ones that are needed, join it, right? So if you are holding like the index, you are just holding the best ones at that certain period.
No, and I think you brought up a really salient point there, talking about indices specifically, Jackus, because the tech bubble, I think and especially like because we operate in a tech space, will kind of condition people like, I'm going to pick the next Apple, the next Google, the next NVIDIA, whatever. Picking individuals over with a 2 to 3 decade time horizon is incredibly difficult. So I just think it kind of lends credence to the idea of having like a base asset allocation. You don't have to like denominate your net worth in it, right? Like Bitcoin, for example, even though, if you're young, I guess you could denominate in something like Bitcoin rather than dollars. But betting on an index over time is ultimately going to be a much higher probability of success rather than picking individuals, because most of the time, most people cannot pick individuals with a 2 to 3 decade time horizon successfully. But Bitcoin is not just the storage of value, but it has effectively become like the S&P of crypto, where the drawdowns are never as steep as individuals, and obviously the upswings in a bull market are easily worth holding for. So it's about timing the S&P, timing Bitcoin for how you play the beta, the individual stocks. But I'd love to transition into equity markets. I know they're kind of boring right now. We can talk about them a little bit briefly. I saw that Louis had the soybean chart up. Let me check the like button.
I did. We were under 200, but we broke 200, so that's okay.
I think you should throw the soybean chart up there until we get to like 225.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I didn't want to interrupt Jackus, but
no, you absolutely should, Louis, in this regard.
Right now.
But I think we should also raise the bar, right? Tommy is back. Soybean is back. It's not even me. By the way,
you can
Tommy,
blame the soybean on me. That's fine.
I'm not sure if it's you or me, but I think you. I think it must be definitely you, because my internet is so stable.
Yeah, Tommy's a little
yeah, but I think you're lagging a lot. Yeah, I think that we should raise the bar definitely. Like 200 likes doesn't do it anymore when we are getting 400 to 500 people on a regular basis. So yeah. It's like Bitcoin market cap isn't in a double digits billion. It's up in trillions now. So we have to raise the bar for the likes as well. The market cap of this show has changed, and therefore the like button has to change too.
I would agree. I mean, maybe if soybeans comes up to here, you might get a nice euro scalp, right? Fill the gap, and maybe you can set up a nice short
Little
setup.
Euro scout.
Yeah, study the euro scalp. Set your stop above your deviation high. Swing it to the lows. Get a nice 7R trade. Is that enough R, Jackus?
No, you gotta raise it up.
I think we lost Tommy. There he is.
He rugged.
Better now.
Hopefully. Yeah, I think that you need to scale that game up, Louis. You need to like prepare a at least 20-hour trade, and you need to post it after the price has rallied like 10 hour from it, right? Like
Yeah.
you cannot be showing that ahead. Like what you should do right now is basically use that swing low you have there, and you need to say, hey, I long down here, right? It's 20-hour, and
Yeah.
I'm currently up 10-hour. Hope you guys took this trade with me. Plus 1000% demo trade.
Yeah, that's nuts. Guys, pump the likes. Let's go. Let's get at least 250. We show up every day for free. Just hit the like button. Maybe we'll do some chart requests for the last 20 to 30 minutes of the show. Feeling generous, but you guys got to hit us back with some likes. Helps the algorithm push our content and push the good word on fair launches and crypto. So get the likes up.
I mean, it's
it.
Monday. It's Monday. We pumped from the lows. Tommy is the husband. He is back. Louis is our Monday. And we have 433 people watching, and we are on 225 likes. I mean, come on, guys. That's disappointing.
This is your wedding gift to Tommy.
Shame on you. Guys, shame. Shame. Shame.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to doing maybe some altcoin requests. I know we haven't done much charting today, so I'd be open to doing something like that, unless Jackus has a cook session ready. But
for 225 likes, I definitely do not.
Yeah, no. Let's look at some altcoin charts. Y'all send some recommendations.
Nothing under like 15, 20 million market cap.
Even a little bit higher than that. Even
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I showed Big Ted today, and I was like, that's like 18, 17. So, but yeah. But we got to hit 250. So we're about 14 short. We're 10 short. 10 more likes. We start doing altcoin requests. We did get a super chat. I don't know what currency that is. It's 100, but I don't know. Jackus, you know what currency that is?
I don't know, but it's probably worth like $50. Bravo. I've never seen that one. It looks Asian. It looks Asian. But all
right, we're almost there. 4 more likes, guys. Come on.
One thing I wanted to say, right? Like, I know that people are hungry for the charts, and we do show so many of them through the week. But I did enjoy this discussion. Like, these discussions are really what, and I suppose it's because like I've been in the chart for so long that like I'm not growing as much from it anymore. But I like these discussions because it just induces a good discussion, lots of thoughts. And
all right, we hit 250.
Yeah. Let's go.
All right, Jackus, you got a super chat request.
Do I?
Yeah.
I cannot. Sorry.
Jackus. I'll chart it.
You can.
All right. Thank you for the super chat. We're gonna take a look at Caspa for the first request.
But sorry, Louis. Mr. W, I do appreciate the super chat, but I'm not pleased with today's like button, and the super chat also wasn't that high. I understand it might be different for you where you're coming from, but $2 to, that's it's too cheap for me.
So it's actually funny. We actually discussed this in our Discord call We do those twice a day. And we have basically our call, and our members, give us requests, and we go over stuff. So, Caspa was something that a lot of us at BB were actually long, right? Like I was long Caspa from down here around 5 cents. I was accumulating down here before, we got this breakout. And it's a token that's been really strong basically through the whole bear market. It was probably one of the best outperformer of the market. When everything was going down, Caspa was chugging along, making higher lows, and was in a solid uptrend. And I think that's partially the reason why we're seeing some relative weakness on Caspa lately, is because it did have such a strong year last year or year and a half. And now we're just kind of just in this massive range. Once we started seeing a lot of this price action, it kind of put me on guard. You kind of have this 3-drive distributive type move here where we were looking for a breakout from this range, and we never kind of got like that true breakout, because I thought 25 cents was definitely programmed, once we started trading around these range highs. But you could tell there was a huge seller of Caspa in this area, and we just haven't really been able to get back above our range high, and we're kind of just stuck here. And you could tell, like, every time we kind of try to get going here, there's a large sell presence on Caspa. My theory is it's probably Mara, the Bitcoin miner. I think that's the miner, because I know there was big news that Caspa was being mined by a big Bitcoin miner. Originally, I thought it was going to be bullish as well, but you could definitely tell there's a major seller of Caspa, whether that's whatever company that's mining it is basically maybe. Oh no. Oh, thank God.
I know that feeling.
Whether that's them or not, but you could tell there's a large seller, which is putting a huge weight on Caspa. And I drew these little squiggles on this morning's Discord call, because basically, we are at our mid range, right? We are at a major support, which we've tagged, 1, 2, and this is the third time. But this is kind of the line in the sand for Caspa here. If we can hold and put in a bounce here, we have a good possibility of getting back towards our range highs. But if we do start losing this 14 and a half cents level here for Caspa, I really do think we start to trade back down to range lows. I mean, just looking at it with a naked eye, like you could see this is like a giant kind of rounding out, you know what I mean? And that's kind of all I see at this moment. Is there a chance it bounces and performs? Yeah, sure. I'm not going to count it out in an altcoin bull run, right? Because everything's going to kind of do well. But it's, I think there's a lot of stuff out there that will outperform, at least until we get back above 17 cents. We start getting back above 17 cents and start pressing our range highs up here. Maybe I'll take another look at it. But as of now, I was selling in the 16, 17 cents range. I made a 3x on it, but this just looks too heavy to me. Like I said, it seems like there's a large seller. And if you start trading below this mid range, I would expect Caspa to probably come back to this 10-cent range, where maybe we're coming back to value, right, for Caspa. You start coming down into here, maybe you deviate this, get back above, and then maybe accumulating down here is a great opportunity when when other alts start taking a breather. Maybe Caspa starts to go again like it usually does, which it likes to move when a lot of stuff isn't moving. So I'd be able to look out for something like that. But I think it's at a key level, so it's kind of a do or die. Either if you're a holder, you want to see this level hold, you start losing this level, just expect another probably 20 to 25 cents, 25% move to the downside on Caspa. So not looking great. I was a big Caspa bull. Sadly, I had to sell just because what I was seeing in the technicals. So that's Caspa, guys.
That kind of reminds me of the STX chart a little bit, Louis. I don't know if you
I'm not familiar.
It just it looks like at this point, like it's going to probably form a larger reaccumulation range at this point.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's a weird looking range, though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you could tell there's some sort of stuff going on here. You could I feel it. I just feel it in the price action. And it looks very distributive to me, in my opinion.
You know, the chart looks like people were weighing the opportunity cost of being long Caspa versus being long meme coins.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, and like even me, like I've been very patient with this. Like we've been in this range for how long now? Basically, we got up here November of last year, and we've been in this range for almost a year now, and we haven't really done much. You know what I mean? It's kind of just bounced around. Like this was probably the biggest move this year that we made on Caspa. Other than that, it's just kind of we're at range highs, and it looks like it doesn't want to go above range highs anytime soon. And that's really all I could say until we start pressing 17 cents. That's really all I have.
I would, if you wanna go on, Louis, go on. But I would like to add just a few things. So when
No,
you're
go ahead,
finished,
Go ahead, Cass. I called you Casp.
Casper.
Go ahead, Jaggers.
I think it's fair to say though that like there are a few things. All right, one is that it's fair to say that Caspa has done way better and basically held its upward structure this entire time while the whole market has bled down. Like we need to be fair, and most coins are down, minus 70% or more since March. Some like died, and Caspa has gone up, and it's done better than Bitcoin, and not many has done so. But it's also not outperforming currently to the upside, which is so like there are two sides, right? The market is bouncing right now. It's not doing well, but it's also not down so bad. It's actually done like probably the best since March. So there are two sides of this coin. And the second is I think it will still do well in the future, but I do agree that this range is just horrible here, and you want to wait for some type of fake out right now, or like you need to see some reclaims before this can start trending again. It doesn't mean it has to like draw like. Listen, the whole market is likely going to send, right? You will not see Caspa just die. But there is a case where Caspa can still go sideways for a few more days or weeks before it starts trending. I'm pretty sure it's going above $1 or higher, and it's still solid one, solid mid cap, but and it's likely going way higher. And there is a third one, and that's that what I keep on telling people. In November 2000, if you can go back on Caspar real quick, just to show the chart, right?
Oh yeah.
Back in November 2023, because there's lots of lessons to learn from this, right? And you guys can like I do not have the charts on, which I know you guys are hungry on, but like these quick sessions are probably more important. Not sure that people on a free platform appreciate it, but some do. I know that. But Caspa in November 2023 was shedding higher. Everyone was becoming a Caspa maniac. Everyone was telling you that Caspa is absolutely going to outperform everything. You should be all in on Caspa and stuff like that. And I did write that entire leg higher on Caspa, and I did really well. But I was also telling people that I'm taking profits there, and that you shouldn't treat this as like being all in. It's going to do well forever, and it's not like it's done really much since then. And I've made another re-entry after. But the thing is that I'm trying to say is that people really saw that it's going to be going up forever back then, and it wasn't. It's going sideways since then, which once again is still a great performance. But what I'm trying to say is that no narrative, no market just keeps going up forever. And people feel the same way about memes coins right now. And they're like, yeah, but why would something outperform meme coins, right? Like memes coins are just going to dominate. And I think, yes, maybe for some time still. But there will come a time where it becomes a consensus. Everyone is memes, and simply the markets will take a pause and the rotation will flip elsewhere. So ideally, you want to be positioned in them, like what Tommy said. You don't want to be fading them and saying like they have no value. At the same time, you need to understand that this narrative just like any other in the past, and as I've outlined so many times, will real time, by the way, not in hindsight, will fade away and the capital will flow elsewhere. So you want to be positioned in different sectors too in this regard, because lots of Caspa people nowadays are just feeling like there's so many Caspa people reaching out to me and saying like, should I rotate Caspa to meme coins? That's the reality of the market right now. And this is how lots of people will feel the same way in the future. So you wanna be aware of that. Anyways.
Yeah, no, I
Thanks
agree.
to the moon 806. Sorry.
I
For the super chat.
always try to stay diversified in these sectors because, like I always say, like these things take turns pumping, right? Like there's some things always going to be pumping, and there's always going to be a niche that's outperforming. So you always kind of want to catch those trends before they happen, not chase them, right? So, but yeah, that was Caspa. We don't have much more time, but I know we've got some super chats. Someone requested Rio. This is something I was trying to start accumulating, in this area, thinking we had a bottom. I ended up having to sell that. We went lower, but it looks like now this is actually old stuff I had on here, but it looks like this has had a great bounce off the bottom here. So Rio, I mean, I'm extremely bullish on RWAs. That's what Rio is. I think it's like real world assets, like tokenized real world assets. I think that's an extremely bullish niche. BlackRock has stated time and time again that that's where they see value in crypto is RWAs. So I think that's an extremely undervalued niche at this point, where back in this point of this, back in March of this year, everyone and their mother was talking about RWAs being the future, right? And now here we are about 4 or 5 months later. Not many people are talking about it anymore because the price isn't pumping, right? So, that's like your telltale sign, like, okay, like RWAs in 3 or 4 months ago were extremely bullish. Everyone loved it. Now price is lower. No one likes it. Has anything fundamentally changed on RWAs? Like, no, absolutely not. It probably is going to be, an important niche for crypto, right? So, finding stuff like this, niches that don't have all that noise and craziness around it, that are starting to reaccumulate and form lows, which this looks like it is. It's looking like it's trying to put in a bottom. And I think it's, this is going to be a great performer. And it looks like, we have a downtrend break. My thing would be, above $1.40, you start trading back above $1.40 here. I think, this is going to get ready for another leg here. Even just as a, a quick look, maybe some sort of like inverse head and shoulders type look, bunch of different ways you can look at it. But, this is, to me, Rio looks like something that's trying to put in, a round out a bottom here. So, Rio is something I might have to start paying attention to again, because it's acting well off the bottom for sure. What else? Mini. Do we know anything about Mini?
I don't know about any of these coins.
Me neither, to be honest. Like Cass and Rio were the only ones I knew. So, I'll see if TradingViews has it. I'll look at it, but I don't even know. Like, is this
You
it?
shouldn't, brother. You shouldn't like look at the total low caps, right? Like,
What's the low cap at? It was, I think, super chatted. Mini was, right?
Like we definitely, as we grow bigger, Tommy and Louis, we need to be careful about showing low cap niche coins, because
I agree.
at that point, it's we just gonna
we could be
pump it
sharing
by
something that they could be waiting to dump on our followers, which we do appreciate the super chats, but we want to keep these larger, market cap tokens for sure. Not that we don't appreciate it, but
I think I'm not sure, and maybe like the community can help us with this, but maybe the right balance is above 100 million market cap. Maybe like that's when we can have the cap currently.
Yeah, and I do know about Quill, by the way. I saw somebody say that in the chat. I do know about Quill.
I saw QNT. QNT was a great token last cycle. It's been pretty much beaten to a pulp at this point. Like this is the level you want to see get back above. Back above maybe $100, get back into this basing range. But this is a token that's still like in the basement, right? If you want to use like your bear market lows, like a lot of stuff's coming out of the bear market lows. And it looks like QNT is still trading, in its bear market base. Not to say it can't come out and go, but I think it has some work to do. But yeah, as far as levels are concerned, you start reclaiming these lows around $90. And maybe that comes from here. Maybe buying down here is a good idea, right? As long as it's all about your risk reward. Like if you're buying down here, and then it comes down here and keeps going, then you're just a bag holder and you're screwed, right? But if you start to buy under here, knowing well that if it starts trading lower than like $50, you got to cut your loss, right? So I'm never going to tell someone not to buy something that looks like it could be putting in a bottom, but you just got to know when to cut your L. And more confirmation would be up here, start trading up in that area. So
you definitely do not like that it's not getting bid with the rest of the market right now,
yes,
especially after it's underperformed for so long, right? Like you may not be getting currently bid on Kaspa, but Kaspa has at least outperformed the entire market for the past year, basically, where everything else is down so much from March. But if you had QNT that just kept on bleeding, and now the market is getting bid and it's not getting bid, it's just sign that you maybe want to reallocate those assets.
Yeah, I got time for one more.
I'm hoping that QNT chart isn't Tao's future, because I've always kind of likened the post Binance listing price action to it. So I guess we'll see. If it rejects here, it is possible, but if any AI coin is going to get bid, it's going to be Tao.
True. Right.
You are having some, I will say, I don't like who is shilling Tao right now. That crowd could be a little bit better, but it is probably the best AI token you can be allocating to from like a reward standpoint. But
unless you guys have something to add on, I think this is a good time to wrap the show up on Monday.
Yep. Here's Doge. I just saw someone request it a bunch of times. Doge is actually something I've been buying more recently, and you could tell the difference between Doge and QNT, right? Where Doge, this is Doge's bear market low base, right? All this trading down here, and we're trading above it, right? Versus a QNT, which is still trading, in this bear market low territory. So that's the difference between something that's getting a bid and not. And now, we're coming into that on the from above now, right? That bear market support, flipping it into support. And I really do like this area, anywhere from 10 to 12 cents as a good R&R to start maybe accumulating Doge again. Because as memes keep heating up, Doge is the OG meme. Is it going to 100x? Probably not. But not everyone's has that risk averse. This is probably a better, less risky play that has high liquidity, and you can maybe earn some multiples on it. But yeah, I do like Doge here, and this is something I've actually been buying over the last couple of days as well.
We got one last super chat we got to cover, but then we will wrap up from a BB Giga Chad, I believe, Ozil. You can look at that chart, Louis. Base Pro Shop.
Base Pro Shop. Okay.
Can you really get this on TradingView?
I don't think so. Unless it's one of these Shop X proprietary Lunar Crush score. What the hell?
I don't think that's it. Let me.
Maybe if you can pull it. I actually have to run. I have something I got to do. So if Tommy, you want to close out with that, I'd appreciate it.
For sure.
But thanks for coming out, guys. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm back again. I'm 3 days a week now. So you get to see my beautiful face 3 times a week instead of 2. So I'll see you guys later. See you, Tommy. See you, Jackus.
Thank you, Louis. I was looking at the chart. The market cap's a little low, so I won't pull it up.
Did you see he showed that sign with 2 fingers and then disappeared? You know that meme where there's that black guy who shows the two yeah, and then disappear. That was legit, Louis.
Oh, yeah. I won't pull this ticker up on the stream because it is really low cap, but I have to say it looks like it's floored, both in value and as far as the chart goes. So I would say it's probably a good spot for it to continue trending with the rest of the market. But it's going to be, I think a lot of these base memes seeing continuation are going to be reliant on ETH for one, probably continuing to grind higher, and also those base narratives continuing to cook. Give me like 1 second here. My cat's clawing at the door, and then I will do the outro for you guys. I'm going to be rusty though.
Oh my god. I wish I could post. I wish I could post that GIF that we have on Discord where your cat is running in front of the screen, and then you're like laughing.
Well, who knows? Maybe he decides to jump up on my desk for the outro at some point. But he's now in the room and clawing up my backpack. Regardless, though, great show. It was a great to be back with all of you, both the panelists and you, the audience. Love being able to cook for you guys. I will be back later this week, of course, for more market check, and so will we. But yeah, I said I'd be a little rusty on the outro. I probably will be. Just running through all of our reminders, guys. For first of all, being BB Wealth Management, we have launched our official hedge fund. We had an amazing September. By the way, I had to shout that out. I was looking at the monthly reports this morning. We absolutely crushed it, guys, and we aim to our primary focus as a fund is ultimately to capture that asymmetric upside that crypto is, historically known for achieving, while also mitigating and balancing the investment risk posed in any financial market. So becoming an LP or an accredited investor is something that would interest you. We do have more information linked in the description of this video below. Of course, also check out BB Academy, which for my money is still the best course on the market. You guys give us amazing feedback pretty much every week. So we love to see that you guys are not just enjoying the course, but also learning a lot, especially as we head into the latter stages of this market cycle. It should become increasingly useful for you guys to be able to hear from and learn from so many different analysts that approach markets in such a wide variety of different fashions. I really think that that's a huge part of the value proposition for CAP. We also have the B, which is now a few weeks old at this point. It was pretty much brand new when I got married and when I left for my honeymoon. But we are going to continue to make that the best possible product on the market. You can already see us using it on Market Check. We use it in our Discord pretty much every day. I use the tool pretty much every day that I'm trading. So, I can kind of attest to the value that it provides, pretty tremendous data syndication and aggregation. If you love derivatives, I love the data that's present on the BB terminal for those purposes. But of course, there's also going to be a lot more different functionalities on the terminal as well, especially that degen tab, which you've probably seen. You've probably already seen when we pull the terminal up, but looking forward to getting that shipped y'all's way as well. Of course, guys, Market Check will be back for another episode tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are live Monday through Friday around that time whenever the New York Stock Exchange is open. Of course, we also have Market Talk hosted by the legendary King Wabi, who always does an exceptional job hosting those spaces. But you can check that out on our Because Bitcoin Twitter account. Timing may vary a little bit, so just make sure to stay following and subscribed. So you can be notified not just when we schedule those spaces, but also when we go live. That was actually, I thought I actually did pretty well on that outro, but didn't miss a beat there. But I appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in. What a fantastic way to start the week. I'm so happy to be back. And until I see you again, as always, guys, stay safe and have a great rest of your day. Thanks again. Hold on, I'm looking for the stream end button. There is still some rustiness.